Gopi Jana Radhari Radhari Jaya Gopi Jana Radhari Gopi Jana Radhari Radhari Jaya Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Vajajana Ranjana Yamuna Chira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Yashodanandana Vajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Yamuna Chira Vanachari Yamuna Chira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. So today we'll read a little bit from Bhagavad Gita. First, we'll go to 1868. Anyone has their phones? 1868. 1868. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 1868. Gayam paramam guyam Marvakeshva vidashati Bhaktimai param kritva Mami vaisyata samshayaha. Please chant.
Jayidam paramam guyam Jayidam paramam guyam Bhakti Mai Param Kritva Mame Vashyati Asamsayava
Jayidam paramam guyam Bhagavad-gītā Asyati Bhaktim Mai Param Kritva Mame Vaishyatya Samsaya Jayidam paramam guyam Bhagavad-gītā Abhihyasati Bhakti-maya param kripa. Mamivayas samsaya.
Yarinam paramam guyam. Malvakrishna vidyasati. Bhakti-mayi param kripa. Mamivayasya samsaya.
Yeah, anyone who is down with this. Paramam, most.
Guyam, confidential secret, not of mine. Bhakteshu, amongst devotees. Avidasyati, explains. Bhakti, devotional service. Mayi, unto me. Param, transcendental. Kripa, beauty. Mam, unto me. Eva, certainly. Isyati, promise. Asamsayaha, without background.
For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end, he will come back to me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Generally, it is advised that Bhagavad-gītā be discussed amongst the devotees only. For those who are not devotees will not understand neither Krishna nor Bhagavad-gītā. Those who do not accept Krishna as he is, and Bhagavad-gītā as it is, should not try to explain Bhagavad-gītā whimsically and become offenders. Bhagavad-gītā should be explained to persons who are ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is a subject matter for the devotees only, and not for philosophical speculators. Anyone, however, who tries sincerely to present Bhagavad-gītā as it is, will advance in devotional activities and reach the pure devotional state of life. As a result of such pure devotion, he is sure to go back to Godhead. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Vijaya Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prasadi Yavashesha Srimati Tashita Deshvatari Om Jnanatirandasya Gyananjana Shravakaya Chakshurundamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Mangal Vishnu Mushtapitam Jena Bhutara Swayam Rupayamayam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Rupayamayam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Sajiva Shadvaitam Shadvitam Vajna Paditam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Hey Krishna Karuna Shindro Dina Bando Jiratse Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namoshite Sapta Kanchana Roram Raje Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vansha Kalpa Dhruvyascha Vipasya Sitanam Bhavaneyo Vaishnadevo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Krishna Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. So this statement is sharing this Bhagavad-gītā with the devotees that it's most pleasing to Krishna. It's very much felt when we go out to share the holy names through Harinam. We're distributing prasadam in so many different ways, through book distribution and so many different forms of the saṅkīrtana. And so, in my short little time in Krishna consciousness, I've gotten to distribute books by the mercy of my spiritual master, who engaged me when I first came to Krishna House. He saw that I had this inkling for it, and then it just all came together in that way. And then over the past 6 months, I've had the opportunity to travel all over the world and, by the mercy of Jagadesh Maharaj, distribute books in 8 different countries. And so feeling how this is pleasing to Krishna is probably the most riveting part of book distribution. Because the moment you step out the door, actually the moment you pick up the books, you can feel what I heard from my spiritual master is called immediate liberation. You just have this feeling of complete shelter, complete liberation and peace, because you're following this verse. You're going out to share the teachings. You're going out to share the Vedas. You're sharing Bhagavad-gītā. You're sharing Krishna with others. And so you just immediately feel in your heart that Krishna is so pleased. And so beyond that, my favorite part of engaging in this service is that it forces me to fully surrender, because so much of the time I'll be out there thinking that I'm the doer. I'm trying to be the one who's distributing the book, trying to, get a certain quota met or trying to make something happen, but it never works out when I'm in that position. And so when I surrender and I try to understand that all power I have, it's coming through the acharyas, it's coming from Krishna, it's by Krishna's mercy that any devotional service is able to happen. And that, especially with saṅkīrtana, that anything I can do to spread these wonderful teachings is completely by the mercy of the previous acharyas and Krishna. And then from that place, things actually start happening. And so the most incredible experiences I've had have been when I see Krishna's mercy playing out in real time. And so I'll start from, I guess, just the past week. I wish we had our dear friend here he's on his way. I'll save this story when he arrives, and I'll track forward to him. But just a few weeks ago, I was in Sydney, Australia, around the time of Nityananda Triyodashi. And there in Sydney, they were really fired up temple, lots of young brahmacharis, and it's an action-packed place. Prabhupada visited there, and he brought Sri Radha Gopinath back in the early days, and they're incredibly potent. And so each day, myself and this group of brahmacharis, we go out for book distribution. And on the first day there, we went to this beachfront where almost immediately this family walked up to us and said, "Hare Krishna, it's so good to see you guys here. Oh my God, you guys are Hare Krishnas. This is incredible. Are you going to the Humility, Kindness, and Love conference in a few days?" I just arrived in Sydney. The Humility, Kindness, and Love. Or Humility, Kindness, and Love. It was this world conference where for the past couple of years, this group has been building momentum and trying to share these wonderful qualities through a universal spiritual group that has been all over. And so just 2 days from then, on Nityananda Triyodashi, it would be happening in Sydney. So after this, I was meditating on it. They ended up getting a couple books on their way. And on Nityananda Triyodashi, I was thinking about it the morning of, after I finish all of my service and duties this morning, we should go to this conference. I didn't know anything about it. I don't know where it was, what was going on, but just decided let's surrender and go for it. And so they took a video of me. They asked if I wanted to say anything about humility, kindness, and love. And so I tried to share a little bit about how it's something bona fide in connection to Gita, about how those qualities are coming through Krishna and coming through. They're only possible when we're engaging in the service as the spirit soul, something along those lines. But they liked it and they sent it to the people who run it. And so on the day of, myself and the group of brahmacharis packed up 8 big cases of books, got in a car and just typed in the address for the city coliseum and went. And when we got there, it was this massive casino hotel connected to this coliseum where there's one tunnel above that lets you into the coliseum and there's no other way in. So you have to go through this casino. And so we get there and we're thinking, like, what are we gonna possibly do? There's no one outside. Like, how are we gonna get into this thing? What do we do? And so out on the back of the car, we get out and we just start praying. We have a group prayer, praying the Lord Krishna. It was by invite only. Yeah, it was a ticketing event. We had to get VIP access and all this stuff to get in. And so we just start going in and act like we know what we're doing. We have a big trolley of books, and there's 6 of us just walking into this building. And immediately we walk in, and all of these guards surround us and start checking our IDs. They check my passport. They ask where I'm from. They check our books. And somehow we pass all those tests. And I'm like, okay, come on. And then all of the organizers for the event come up to us and they're like, okay, you're here. We don't know you. And so they like start walking us in. And we're going further and further into the depths of this massive casino up to the Coliseum. And I'm thinking, like, what is happening? Why are they escorting us? I'm just really confused. And we get through the tunnel, and I see on the other side of the tunnel these VIP ticketing tables. We walk up in our car. Where are you, Krishnas? We're here to distribute books. We don't actually have, any tickets or anything, but like, what are we doing? They're like, no. It's okay. And they hand me a badge with my name on it. Now, I don't know where they found out my name. I don't know where any of this happened, but I get it. And I'm immediately thinking, like, Lord Nityananda wrote my name on this badge and is letting us in. This is completely by the mercy of the Lord that we're able to do this. And so they're walking us in, and they walk us into their big event room, and they have exactly 5 front row seats for each of us. Now, I don't know where they got exactly that many seats, but they were ready for us. And so I knew in that moment that, okay, if we sit down, we're going to get roped into hours of who knows what. And so I turned around to the man and I said, look, as monks in this practice of Vaishnavism, our main objective is to engage in service. And wherever we go, we always want to give back. And so we brought a bunch of books teaching about humility, kindness, and love from the Vedic perspective. So if you could please share these, I think that would be our best way to give back to this incredible conference. And they were so taken aback, and they said, of course, we'll give you a table, and we got you. And so they set us up right out front, and for the next 9 or 10 hours, we were able to distribute books to hundreds and hundreds of different people from all over the world, and just have an ecstatic Nityananda Triyodashi. And so we didn't plan this out. We didn't know what was going to come about. We just had a desire to serve. And because that desire was there, and because we asked the Lord to help us, we asked Lord Nityananda on his appearance day to help us do something, it happened in an absolutely miraculous way. And it was so faith-building for me, because I could feel in every moment throughout that, like, we're only able to do this because the Lord is so kind to us. And so it was wonderful. Because book distribution isn't about me serving Krishna. It's actually Krishna giving me the opportunity to serve him. I'm so fortunate to be able to have the chance to engage in that service for my purification and for the service to all beings. It's ecstatic. And it's that way in every service. To be able to go out every day for Krishna lunch and to give prasadam to people for generations. I mean, I can feel when I come to Gainesville that there's just a different vibration here, because people for so long have been receiving that mercy, and it's incredible. This is, of everywhere I've been, like, there's a very, very special energy to where we are because of the yajna that's happening out there every single day, and because of the massive amount of sadhu sangha in this place. And so we're very, very fortunate. And so Sydney was an incredible experience. And just a couple days later, I was in Melbourne, and Melbourne's a really large city, also close by to Sydney. And I was there. There was a young boy in the community who was really fired up to go out the books. His name was Hari. He was about 13 years old, and he was ecstatic to experience book distribution. So his parents were like, please take him out, please take him out. And so every day we would go out together, him and I, and I learned so much from having the association with this young Vaishnava about humility, about always being in a giving mode. He was always ready to serve in everything he did. And at one point, we were distributing books in Chinatown in Melbourne, and down the street comes this backpacker. I could tell he wasn't local. He was kind of in the traveler mode of dreamy eyed looking around. And so I went up to him and started talking to him. And I learned quickly that he was on a really deep spiritual journey. He was this man named Matt from England who had been on an incredible journey through making music that was bringing him closer and closer and closer to God. And he was very much in this place of trying to surrender to he was trying to follow his heart and trying to figure out what surrender meant through following his heart. And it was almost like I was talking to myself from a few years ago. I traveled all over the world a few years before Krishna consciousness, backpacking, seeking to follow. And that's when I'm actually on that journey. I met a devotee, I met a brahmachari in Switzerland. So it was like the exact same experience repeating itself, but I was on the other end of the coin. I was meeting a backpacker who was trying to follow his heart, traveling all over the world, but I was the brahmachari giving him a book. And so Hari's standing here watching this whole thing happen, and Matt is over here. And the deeper we go into this conversation, I'm realizing that none of this is me. Like Krishna just arranged this entire thing for me to connect with him. Each and every second of this conversation is completely beyond my understanding. Because it was like I was just being utilized second to second to second to share with him little gems of Vedic knowledge that he was receiving with so much submissiveness that were changing his whole consciousness. And I felt like I was really able to give Krishna to him. And so he ended up taking a Krishna book and like a stack of books, but it was so immensely special to feel like I could impact someone who was in a similar position to myself just a few years before. Our friend has arrived. So I'll begin on what brought me here. So I wasn't planning to come back to Gainesville, but I was given a mission a week and a half ago by Mother Kalindi while I was in Bali to, maybe try to find a deity of Garuda. Because Garuda in Bali, they have an ancient way of making Garuda that's been done for many, many generations. And this is his spectacular form in the Balinese style. And there's a similar Garuda deity to this in Mayapur. And he's ecstatic. And so Kalindi called me last week, or I called her and we talked, and she said, if you could, try to go find a Garuda deity. We've been wanting to have one for a long time. It's no trouble. I was overjoyed. I was so excited to have this mission. And so I asked the devotees in the community what to do, where to find this, and they immediately knew that, oh yes, up in Ubud, up in the hills, we know where you need to go. We have the person for you. And so they made some phone calls, and then they came to me and they said, Garuda is waiting for you. And so I was like, all right, I'll do that. And so the next day, with a group of Indonesian devotees, we went on a 2-hour, hour and a half ride up into the misty hills of Ubud to go to Imade Garuda. an ancient museum where for generations and generations the family has been carving Garuda Vishnu deities out of wood. And so we go up into the hills and we arrive at this very secluded ancient museum surrounded by rice fields and misty rainforests. And just at the front, we walk in and it's almost like a cave. And on top of it is this huge stone statue of Garuda and Vishnu. And then there's all of these statues around. There's Ganesh, there's Vishnu, there's many wood carvings at the front. So we make our way into it's like the mouth of a cave, and it expands into a building. We go in and there's no one there. You can just hear the dripping of water and incense billowing through the air. And we're walking past these many, many wood sculptures of different forms and pastimes of Vishnu and the Balinese style. We walk through and make our way around the cavernous first floor, and then out of a room we hear Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. This old man somehow knew that we were Hare Krishnas. And he was a bedridden old gentleman who was just kind of lying in his bed looking at us. And then out of nowhere walks this younger man, his son, and he's like, how may I help you? So I tell him, well, I'm looking for a Garuda deity. And I explained that from what Mother Kalinda told me kind of like this, fingers, kind of pointed out, and the specifics with the wings being detachable. And so he walked me around and walked me over to a table, and I saw this Garuda. I touched him and immediately knew this is the one. Before he was the color of the wood here on the bottom with some red, black, and very little gold. But Mother Kalinda had asked if he could be more gold to fit the description in the Vedas. And so I explained kind of what we're looking to do, the painting we want to get done, and he agreed. And so then, now we were hanging out and talking and sharing about how for the past 4 centuries, him and his family have been making these Garudas here in Bali. And he took us up to the second floor where he has an entire carpentry school where people come from all over the world to learn carpentry. And he was showing the ancient, basically samadhis of either ancestors or sacred deities that they have up there. And then he told us a story. He told us, he said, I used to chant Hare Krishna. I used to be very fond of the mantra. I would do japa every day as a young boy. From 12 to 15, I would always chant. I had a teacher, but then one day, I lost trust in him. I lost faith in him, and I decided I'm no longer going to chant this mantra. I don't want to do this Hare Krishna anymore. And then a few years ago, I had this dream where I was come to by a demon. And in Bali, something that's very common is black tantra. There's a lot of black magic and demon worship in Bali. And so he was come to in a dream by a demon, by a demon in the head of a woman. And he said that he was in complete terror. He couldn't move. And that all he knew to do, all he remembered in that moment was from his childhood, he chanted, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And in his room, they had a family deity of Vishnu. And from that Vishnu, he saw this blue light come out of the chest and come in front of this demon, and it burst into a many-armed form of the Lord, and immediately the demon went away. Now, he didn't know what he was talking about. He didn't know how incredibly powerful this was. He didn't realize the depth of what he was saying. But to us, we were hearing this and just like, we were shocked. And so afterwards, he told us that, through the mantra, Vishnu saved my life. And he just saw it very casually, but he was very grateful, but it was incredible. And so I asked him if I could give him a Bhagavad Gita, and he was very receptive, very grateful to have it. And I felt like we were sent to him to help him to come back closer to Krishna, not just to receive Garuda, Garuda was there waiting for us, but to help this incredible soul to come closer to Krishna. And so through none of it did I feel like I was, I was just taken along for a ride. I just asked the devotees, where can I find Garuda? And I guess this way. And I just kind of went along and was able to give Krishna to this incredible soul. It was amazing. And then from there, we got Garuda painted. A few days later, I went to go pick him up. And for the past 5 or 6 days, I've been traveling all over the world, just trying to keep very attentive and close hold of the box that Garuda was in. And so from Bali, we flew to New Delhi. And on the way to New Delhi, I had an experience that I've never had before on a plane, where we took off, and within the first 30 minutes, a man on the plane had a seizure. He was having a really intense medical emergency. And so on the plane, they're calling for the doctors. We need doctors. Please come back. We need doctor help right now. It was a very intense scene on the plane. And after some time, I'm sitting there, I'm chanting and just praying for this gentleman. And after some time, he settles, he's okay, he sits down, and they turn the plane around. We have to go back to Bali to let him off. And it was very interesting as all of the quarantine people from the Indonesian government start coming on the plane, the health officials, I see this name tag float by me that says Sudarshan. And he comes over, this gentleman comes over, gets this gentleman, takes him away. And so that was one of the many transcendental experiences that have happened on the travels back with Garuda, but there have been many others that have shown me that I am not the one transporting Garuda, but I am indeed the one being held in his talons all the way back to Gainesville. And so it's by Garuda's mercy and mercy of my spiritual master, Mother Kalindi, that I'm here today to share this incredible form of Garuda with you all. And so this is the magic of saṅkīrtana. Just by having the openness to go and give Krishna to that man in the hills of Bali, we also were able to receive this incredible deity. Another experience that I had, well, there's been many, but a few months ago in Liège, Belgium, I was also serving Jagadesh Maharaj, and we were staying at Jagadesh. And I was going out every day, but to go out from Jagadesh, it's about a 45-minute train ride. It's a 10-minute drive to the train station, 45-minute train ride into the nearest town, this town of Liège. And so on the third day, I went and I got to the town center, and I was distributing books, and this man walks up to me, and he was asking about the books. He's very open and interested, and he's like, "Oh, I'm okay, actually, I don't want to." Then he gives me a hug, and after this, he walks away, and then this British man comes up, and he's super fired up, super interested in books, wants to get a bunch, takes a bunch, and I asked him, "Oh, can I take a picture of you with these books?" And I check my pockets, and I realized, whoa, I'm gone. And so I realized, oh, our guy before snatched my phone, very sneaky hug. But so I realized in a moment that, okay, how am I going to get back? My ticket was on that phone. My wallet was actually taken a few days before in Berlin. And so I've got books. That's all I've got. So now I'm in this very, very nice position. I'm really forced to surrender. And it was ecstatic because after this point, the whole bag of books I had just started flying out. All of my sense of control and sense of security was out the window because the phone was it. That's all I had. And so now I'm in this very meek little position. I feel like a lost puppy. And so all I'm doing is just trying to keep distributing books. And it's like people could feel the position I was in. And so they were just happy to take all of the books. It was amazing. And so for the next 2 hours, I finished distributing everything, and I had remembered from the day before the train I was supposed to get on. And so I got on that 5:45 train back to Liège, and I didn't have a ticket or anything. I'm just praying and hoping that it all works out. And I don't have a ride back. So it's a 10-minute drive. It's actually more like a 15-minute drive, but a couple hour walk back to the temple, way back to these twisty hills, and it's very, backcountry space to Jagadesh. And so I'm on the train, and the official comes up to me and she says to me, "Where's your ticket?" So I explain her the story, and I also don't have an ID because my wallet's gone. And so she's like, "Well, in Belgium, it's illegal to travel without an ID, so I have to call the police." And so she calls the police. My first instinct is, all right, I'm just gonna go hide in the bathroom in case police come onto this train. So I just go sit, just like hang out in there for 2 stops, 3 stops, and I hear my stop and get out. No police, we're all good. And so I get off at the station, and it's getting dark. It's dusk, and then I don't know what to do. And so I walk out to the street. I stand around for a minute, wondering, are there any devotees around? Just kind of helplessly thinking, what do I do? And so I sit there and start to pray. And the moment I close my eyes, I didn't actually begin to pray, but I hear Hare Krishna. And this car pulls up, this little tiny bug, this little tiny car. And they say, "Are you a brahmachari? You staying at Jagadesh?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, what are you doing here? Like, what's going on?" I'm like, "Well, I was distributing books and I got stranded." And like, "Well, do you want to ride?" I'm like, "Sure." So I get in and they drive me back to Jagadesh. And Graduate Tomorrow was having a program that evening, so I kind of hobble in, and I'm just in this complete state of awe. And it's like everyone in the room kind of looked at me like they could feel something was up. And so I sat down, and they're like, "What happened to you?" And so I explained the story, and they're just like shook. They're like, "Well, how are you going to get back to America? Like, you don't have anything." I'm like, "I have a passport. That's all I need." And so it worked out. And I spent a couple weeks without a phone, and everything was fine. But it was amazing. Krishna put me into this position of full surrender, and it was beautiful. It was so wonderful. And I'll tell one more story, and then I'll do questions. But I've never told anyone this, and this will come as a surprise to some who were on this trip to Utah last year. But we went for Harinam one day in New Orleans. And on that day in New Orleans, everyone went off for Harinam, and I went off for book distribution. And I was going all over the French Quarter. The French Quarter is really sketchy. I've never been before, but it's a really sketchy, grimy place. And I could feel it going around that this is just a really rough area. I need to be careful. And so I walked down one street, and there's all these houses where in New Orleans they have first floor balconies where they're right there. And I see a man sitting on his balcony. I walk up and hand him a Gita and start talking to him. And he's interested, a really nice guy, Episcopalian. My mom was Episcopalian, so we were able to connect on that. Really sweet man. And then this gentleman walks behind us, and he's kind of mumbling and grumbling. And all of a sudden he bursts around, and he looks at me. And he starts yelling at me as if I said something to him, but I hadn't said anything. And he was a homeless man. I could tell he was a bit mentally deranged. And then he pulled out a knife, and he starts walking towards me, and he says, "I've used this before. I'll use it again." And I'm shook. I don't know what to do. I'm completely frozen. And he's walking towards me, and then all of a sudden just snaps out and turns around. He forgot what he was doing. He completely forgot what he was doing and walked away. And I look up at the man, and he looks at me, and he says, "In my 40 years of living here, I've never seen anything like that. God just saved your life." And so then we started praying together, myself and this Episcopalian gentleman. He ended up taking the Gita, and it was incredible. Like Krishna really does give all remembrance and all forgetfulness. And in that moment, he saved my life for giving that man forgetfulness. And so afterwards, I didn't want to tell everyone, so I didn't want to make it a big deal and, make it a whole story. It was not a nice day on Harinam. Just kept that. But that happened in the other one. And so Sankirtan, this is the most fun in Sankirtan. Like I love experiences like this. I'm not really that good of a book distributor. Like I can do a little bit, but like I love to just like throw myself into the ocean and see what happens. Like I love to just go all out and see what's Krishna gonna throw my way, because it's always an adventure. It's so exciting. And this year we've been given a mission to distribute 26,000 books throughout the whole Krishna house community, between the brahmacharis, between everyone. It's not just us, it's for everyone. And so myself, Grihananda Prabhu, Sahadev, Banu, and any others that will join along the way, we're traveling all over the nation distributing books. And so today I'll fly to Dallas, and then our journey really begins. And so the book distribution is just one facet of this. But one thing that we really want to do in every community we go to is engage everyone in this service. Because book distribution is not just meant for brahmacharis who want to walk around with stacks and try and do big. It's for everybody, and everyone can do it at every level, and it's so much fun. And it's a lot more fun when we do it with others. When we're in a comfortable space, when we're in a comfortable setting, and the more variations of saṅkīrtana that there are, the sweeter it is. When there's kirtan, when there's prasad, and when there's books, just like on campus. Because all of these things purify the atmosphere and they soften people up. When there's kirtan, people who are favorable will stop, and it's like a cast net. Now you can walk up and talk to them. When there's prasad, you have donations at the end and you distribute books. We did this with Narada Muni at Tampa State last year, and it was the most successful day of book distribution I've ever experienced. And so there's so many ways to do it. And every community that we go to, we want to give back by engaging everyone in a saṅkīrtana day, having a very nourishing, very nurturing event where it's not about doing big, but it's about letting all of the devotees experience saṅkīrtana. And so tomorrow in Dallas, we'll have our first iteration of this. And this is based off of a model that I saw when I stayed in Brooklyn over the summer from Vaisheshika Prabhu's disciple, Paul Prabhu. And it was my favorite day in New York. We went to this it started out, so after breakfast, we have a pep talk, get everyone fired up with stories like this, or just kind of sharing with the community what's going to go down and what saṅkīrtana can be, sharing really incredible realizations and experiences. And then we go out for 2.5 hours of really more of a sophic saṅkīrtana, where you're in an open park setting or somewhere where people can feel more chilled out, not like a French Quarter. And we will have kirtan, we'll have people passing out little cookies and flyers, a book table, options for everybody. And then for a couple hours we'll do that and come back and have a lunch where it's already pre-made, ready to go, a feast for this event. And then a roundtable discussion of realizations where people can share. It may be someone's first time ever doing books, and those realizations are so incredible, and we'll have the opportunity for everyone to share that experience. And then that's it. Very simple, very nice way to introduce and nurture people into saṅkīrtana. And in April, we'll be here for a week, and we'll do the same thing. And we'll try to do something where it's more involved throughout the week, and then we'll try to have a day on the weekend to do something like that. And so, thank you all so much for serving Srila Prabhupada, for engaging in saṅkīrtana every single day through Krishna lunch and through being such a wonderful Krishna house family. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for sharing those amazing stories that are so faith-filling. amazing. It inspired me to share one of mine. When I was in Baltimore helping start that Kṛṣṇa's project with Bhagavad-gītā, I had gone to the community college nearby, like maybe a 5-minute drive or so. I took a bus there. And my main mission was going there. I was trying to start a club, like a bhakti yoga club and stuff. So I would, cut out some flyers and go on the bus. And yeah, my phone battery was quite low, and it was evening time. And Baltimore is not the most pleasant city. It's a bit sketchy, very sketchy. So yeah, I was in a similar situation. I was just kind of like, and I didn't know anyone there. I wasn't like friends with anyone there. I was in a kind of similar situation where I had to just like kind of trust. So I just kind of got on the next bus, and by the time I got on the bus, my phone died. And I didn't know where to get off. But actually, right before it died, I had texted Nanda, because I forget why I exactly texted her. I think we were just communicating about my day or something. And I'm like, yeah, I'm getting out of Krishna, definitely, instructed me to do that. But I sent her the bus that I was on at the moment for some reason. And I'm like, yeah, my phone's gonna die, like, here's my bus. And I had forgotten that, so I was kind of like, panicking, like, what if she didn't check the message or whatever. But anyways, I get on the bus, I get off, and there's this like train station that I get off at, and it's super sketchy, and it's like maybe 8 o'clock at night. There's like a lot of homeless people around, and I'm like really scared. And yeah, no phone. And then even like I had my charger with me, but even like there was just so many people like that looked sort of like scary to me. I didn't even want to like stay in one place to like charge it, so I was really bewildered. And I picked up my keys actually, and I was like, you know what? if I have to get punched by another hobo, so be it. Because I had gone anyways. But yeah, I just picked up my keys, I chanted. And then this really nice girl, a little bit after that, passed like in front of me. She was like pleasant and approachable, so I approached her. She had just gotten off the train, and she was so kind. She gave me like a few dollars to get on the next bus, and she told me what bus to go on to get home. And then I was able to get to the right stop, and then Kartikeya was already driving on that street looking for me, so I found my way back home. But anyway, similar story to kind of like how, yeah, I feel like picking up those beads in that time of like distress really did guide me home.
Story.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Since I've been here, I've just been really, it's been like 3 weeks yesterday, and I've been really inspired by the Kṛṣṇa distribution here. I've mentioned it a couple times. I used to manage a Govinda's restaurant, and Krishna Lunch puts out more plates than Govinda's does in a day sometimes. And I was thinking, as you were talking about, in Philadelphia, there's a neighborhood called Kensington. I met the devotees in Philadelphia. And I used to live in Kensington. They call it the heroin super highway of America. Everyone in the streets is on drugs in this neighborhood. It's like being in a zombie apocalypse when you walk down the street. And you want to feel scared, but there's no reason to be scared because everyone is so intoxicated that you could run away before they could catch you. And the devotees in Philadelphia have started distributing Kṛṣṇa there. And they do like a food for life there once a week. And people thought that was really silly, and the people in that neighborhood really reject vegetarian food sometimes. But the most powerful thing to me about doing that service was 2 different people who approached the table who were 2nd-generation devotees who were there, intoxicated, heavily addicted to drugs. And no devotees cared about them. No devotees had come to help them ever. But Krishna sent the devotees in form of Kṛṣṇa to show them that he still cared about them. And it really affected me. I don't know if those people have gotten off drugs. We didn't keep in contact. But I could see that Krishna was actually putting us in a position to care for devotees just by showing up somewhere. And we don't know where those devotees are hiding. Everyone is a devotee, but we don't know where people who love Krishna have been pushed to and are hiding in this world. Unless we go out there, we don't know how badly they need us to tell them we care about them. Unless we're out there to catch them. And I was caught by the devotees, like I've already shared with everyone here, but a very empowered book distributor saw something in me as I was crossing the street in Philadelphia 10 years ago. I had my hair all shaved off and my eyebrows bleached off. And I was really cool. And she just walked right up to me. She was not afraid. And so from that moment, I realized that Krishna is who's empowering the devotees to see in people that Krishna wants to grab that person. And I just, hearing their stories just made me think about how much we forget that some of the people we're catching are actually Vaishnavas who have been abandoned or who have been abused. And Krishna is wanting to re-engage them. And so, unless we're out distributing prashadam every day, distributing books, and also just distributing Vaishnava morals and ethics, and just talking to people in a pleasant way. It will also make people wonder, what's different about those people? I want to be more like those people, so then I will ask them. I just wanted to share that you all don't realize how big your impact is, not just on Gainesville, but on the Vaishnava community at large. I'm just very grateful for being here and being inspired by it.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, Prashadam has a really powerful impact, and you can see it through what it's doing here and what it does everywhere. It's real deal preaching. Very, very powerful. Anything else?
I'll be really quick. Thank you for this. One day I was in Toronto and I had a really bad headache, and me, Brihat, and Sahadev went out with book distribution. So I'm trying to distribute the books, but I'm having a really hard time because I have this raging headache. And this crazy lady walks up to our table, and I'm like, she's looking at the books. She's really inspired by the books. She wants one. And she says, can I have a book for some of these Tylenols? And I'm like, thinking I don't know. And she opens up this Tylenol bottle. I don't know what pills are gonna be in here. So she opens up the Tylenol bottle, and it's actually it has the seal on it, so it was never open. So I'm like, you know what? Yes, we can trade. And that was telling me that Krishna was looking out for me. That's who I have in. Sorry, Krishna.
That's a great story. One last little announcement. This weekend will be, for anyone who wants to join, we'll be starting a worldwide saṅkīrtana Sangha on Zoom, where every week we'll have saṅkīrtana legends and just empowered saṅkīrtaniyas throughout the history of ISKCON joining. And this week we'll have Navina Nirda Prabhu, a very dear friend of Vaitacharya Prabhu, and also an immensely empowered book distributor. So if anyone's fired up and wants to hop on to that with some serious other Sangha, you're always welcome. I'll send it out in the President's chat. Hare Krishna.
Jagadesh Sankirtana ke jai. Jagadesh Guru ke jai. Jai Guru Siddham Prema ke jai. Gurudev ki jai. Hare Govinde, Rama Kali Vaishnave, Alo Kriya Janata, Ishasho Vaishnave. The spiritual